Yes. Welcome and come well to another doorway, another portal, another video entitled Am I as I am? Most importantly, though, as you are. Before I go into today's topic and today's title of today's class, just want to mention one thing before I go into it, which I really don't mention too much, but there's also new information in it as well. For those who would like to further support and or continue to support the specific path, my new Cash App, I have a new Cash App. My new Cash App name and tag is $, of course, Amias as one. $Amias as one. So it's $AMIAS and the number one. So $Amias as one. And any and every dollar amount given in appreciation is appreciated in return. All support goes towards building libraries both in home and out home, towards maintaining living circumstances and situations, towards supplies, services, and products created and utilized for sessions, consultations, and classes, towards future spiritual projects and current manifestation, towards book printing and distribution, towards website development and sustainment, and last but not least, towards helping to continue my private and public events and engagements held for specific seekers on this specific path. Thank you for the support. It's appreciated greatly. For those who haven't contributed yet, that's my new Cash App. For those who continue to support this path financially in many ways, as well as your attention given in classes and consultations and reaching out as well, is greatly appreciated. So let's go into today's topic. Stop dragging dead bodies. Stop dragging dead bodies. For those of you who drag these dead bodies, I'm going to go into what I mean when I'm saying this. I'll go right into it. Matter of fact, let's go right into it. It's not going to be a long video today. It won't take too much of your time today on this nice, beautiful Saturday, but let's get into the gnosis immediately. First doorway is a human body weighs more when it's dead than it does when it's alive. It loses something called buoyancy. Buoyancy is another word and understanding for light. So when you lack light or enlightenment in your life and your reality, you are no longer light-footed, light-hearted, or light in your character and interactions. Therefore, you now begin to feel heavy physically and mentally as well. And the body will imitate that held truth into physical expression. So this dead body that you are dragging is actually your own body. This is what the title means. Stop dragging dead bodies. Not literally dragging somebody else's dead body or some other people's dead bodies, but your own dead body. Stop dragging your own dead body. This is what this means. This was given to me spiritually today to speak on. So I'm speaking on it. I'm being the speaker for it. So this dead body that you are actually dragging is actually your own body. What's wise about that? What does that have to do with the spiritual path? What does that have to do with anything spiritually? Dragging a dead body. Being that spiritual means coexistence with other life. So if nobody ever defined what spirituality means or what being spiritual means, Being spiritual and spirituality means being able to coexist as life with life. As life, not just with life like plants and animals and other people, but as life, with the life of your own body, as the life that you are. Not looking to deteriorate it, put it through rigor mortis, decompose it while you are still inhaling and exhaling oxygen. What part of the game is that? That doesn't make any sense at all. Maybe something to think about. The next line in doorway is when you drag a dead body, you become a dead body. What does a dead body contain while it's still breathing? Anger, resentment, regret, and hatred is the perfect recipe for a psychological disaster and biological breakdown. So, you have these things, and these things only reside within the brain. And the only thing that gets punished is the heart. So the heart is getting punished by the brain. It's called the brain for a reason. You take the letter B off, you get the word rain. And having a discussion with another reader the other day, another channeler the other day, we were building on certain topics. And she mentioned, or looked it up and mentioned as well, that the word brain is a part in the word brain, or section of the word brain that says atrium, or it's called an atrium. And it says it's a Greek understanding in Greek mythology and philosophy that it was a part of the brain that was known for holding rain water. So that even validates the truth more of the word brain. You don't have a brain or braining system. You have a rain and a raining system. It rains down into the bloodstream. The heart is the main thing that pumps the bloodstream throughout the body. So whatever you hold, anger, resentment, regret, past, you're raining it down into your bloodstream. I guess through the raining system of the brain called the atrium. That begins to rain down into your system, and your body takes the punishment of the brain rather than the reward of the mind. Okay, so this is why anger, regret, resentment, and hatred is the perfect recipe for a psychological disaster, to become a psychological disaster that inevitably trickles down into a biological breakdown. So this is how these things begin to happen from a more biological understanding, anatomical point of view, dealing from the metaphysical realm. I'm not going to go too deep in today's topic video at the moment. I run around and take care of a few other things today. But let's get right back to it. The next doorway is you no longer, when you are a dead body, when you become your own dead body, you no longer possess the power to help yourself. You become a danger to your own mind and your own body. Deterioration begins from the inside out. So you may look nice on the outside. You may use shea butter, cocoa butter, almond oil, jojoba oil, whatever. On the outside, you may be radiant, your skin may be glowing, but you're rotting on the inside. Mentally, then physically. Psychologically, then biologically. There's a slow, maybe a slow raining process, but it's raining into your bloodstream, into your system, your central nervous system, your immune system. You are literally breaking down. No matter what you look like on the outside or what mask and costume that you wear, you are creating your own dead body from the inside out. Mentally, then physically. Psychologically, then biologically. There is a constant raining system that is raining down into your bloodstream. You may not necessarily smell like a dead body or corpse, but the stench of your ignorance is very potent and smelled by others. Something to consider, possibly. You go from being a danger to yourself to being a danger to others. How so? What's internal will ultimately express itself through the external. Like I said before, we're nothing but a bridge. We're not a body, we're not a person. We are a bridge and a conduit, an open door that doesn't close. Every thought seeks to become action, like I always say. Every idea seeks to become an invention. You're just something in the middle. So you're not fooling yourself. You're not fooling your brain, your mind, your body. You're just fooling yourself. You're not fooling anything else. Because anything else and everything else is you. And you are anything else and everything else. It cannot fool itself. And it's not what you say to yourself, it's how you act. It's how you behave. It's what you vibrate. It's what you emanate. There is a constant beat, pulse, wave, and rhythm that goes on within the body called the heart. So whatever you think, the heartbeat matches the template and the background and the surrounding atmosphere of that thought to bring it into manifestation. This is why your body begins to rot or deteriorate from the inside out. It is a dead vibration or a dying vibration or a very slow vibration. But you are supposed to be vibrating at a very high pitch, especially according to the spiritual path and the spiritual gnosis. It is unwise to do otherwise. Very unwise to do otherwise if you claim yourself to be a spiritual person. This kind of action is non-spiritual. It is not spiritual at all. You are not coexisting as life with the life that you are supposed to be. Why dissolve when you can resolve? Why dissolve when you can resolve? Another question you may want to ponder. Or, pardon me, why devolve when you can resolve? Why devolve when you can resolve? Next story is by being the dead body, you consistently keep yourself alienated from your own potential progress. Just as you keep yourself from yourself, you also keep others away from you as well. When you are no longer illuminating, as a spiritual being that you are supposed to be, you become a big ball of radiation that other light workers, such as myself and other light workers, keep their distance far away from. When I say keep their distance away, it may not mean physically, but you have mentally lost them. They may be close to you physically, but they're not close to you mentally. So, going back to the point when I said you go from being a danger to yourself to being a danger to others, there's a term called 5150. Being a danger to yourself as well as a danger to others. That's called 5150. So you become 5150. But the sad part about it, or the unfortunate aspect of that, is that you know better than to do so, but you continue to do so. Therefore, you reap no universal rewards. You get no spiritual bonus for that. You're in a constant degressing state. To anyone that this message uh, may relate to. This is to you. So being a danger to yourself and being a danger to others, once again, it ultimately the internal will express itself as the external, which means that you may go from verbal uh, verbal violence to emotional violence, ultimately physical violence, which will seek the ultimate end result, which is death. Um, you know, anything related to that, which death is the ultimate. So it's remember I told you it's an extreme, it's an energy, whatever it may be, however it may form, however it shows itself as. It's an energy, and energy is just another word for an extreme. It reaches the extreme expression, the extreme point of itself. So verbal violence can definitely turn into a death easily because there's no stop sign, there's no pause in between these actions of this individual turning themselves into a dead body. There's no stop sign. There's no awareness. There's no self-awareness. Like, wait, stop. We don't like this. We don't like acting like this. We don't like talking like this. We don't like behaving like this because it makes me feel this way. I start to think this way. I start to be this way. And I don't like to feel, think, and be these ways. Therefore, I need to stop now. There's no pause. There's no stillness. There's no silence. And even if you may not find stillness and silence and peace and serenity in your home, go take a walk, go in your car, find your silence, find your stillness, find your peace, find your contentment. Seek your balance, seek your centeredness before it gets out of whack and completely out of control. The next doorway is, besides becoming a program, you also became a glitch in your own program, which is even worse, 2 times worse. Becoming a program and then becoming a glitch inside of your program. It's very dangerous to yourself. You become a danger to yourself, as well as becoming a danger to others. Besides becoming a program, you also became a glitch in your own program, becoming a consistent problematic cycle, creating cycled cells within your biology. And this is what they call in biology sickle cells. So cycled cells become sickled cells. This is when you are officially labeled sick. So you don't have to look sick. You can dress, act, talk how you want to talk. You can maybe possibly fool others to a certain degree, but you can never ever fool yourself. You can never ever fool your brain, and you can never ever fool your body. It is impossible. It doesn't exist. There is no way to fool that. There's nothing in creation or existence that exists to help you fool that. You are the only fool fooling yourself. If you think that you're fooling something internally, you're not. So this is when you are labeled sick due to you psyching yourself out of your own moments. Like I said before, the past, because the past only deals with anger, regret, resentment, and hatred. Anger, regret, resentment, and hatred only exist in the past. The past is a spiral. The past, pardon me, is a circle. It keeps itself in one cycle, like a dog chasing its tail. It keeps itself in one spinning cycle, and there's no spiral for it to exit out of. There's no spiral for it to come out of. There's no spiral for it to go inside of and hit or reach its point of awareness and self-realization and to begin the process of self-reflection. There's no pause, there's no stop, there's no silence, there's no still point within them, within you, if you find this message relative to you and yours. You have to have a still point. You have to have a silent point because that will ultimately become the moment of self-reflection. Sooner or later, when you begin to self-reflect, you begin to see the ugly inconsistencies of your cyclic nature. You won't like what you see or what you hear. You shouldn't like what you see or what you hear, especially if it's not beneficial to yourself and to others. That's just common sense. There's no science or metaphysics or spiritual understanding behind that. That's just common sense. You're not going to poke yourself and stab yourself consistently because it's pain, and pain hurts. Pain is discomfort. So you discontinue that. It should be the same way mentally, same way psychologically. See how you feel. See how you're thinking the next minute, the next hour, the next day. Do you feel good? Is how you're thinking bringing about desired results or undesired results? This is just common sense. What I talk about in my classes and courses and consultations. My attainees know, my students know. We get busy in class. And they're making things happen miraculously around them all the time. Plenty of testimonials. It's nonstop. And it's really not magic. It's quite simple. So this is when you become a consistent problematic cycle, creating cycled cells in your biology, which are sickled cells. This is when you're officially labeled sick due to you psyching yourself out of your own moment and your own moment intelligence. You become a past loop stuck on replay. In other words of saying, other words of saying. So when I say cycle, the sickled cells, it's not really it's not the spiral, it's the cycle, the constant circle, the circle that doesn't have any gap. That circle, that O, that letter O, there's no C in the letter O, there's no G in the letter O, there's no opening outside the circle. You become cycled, you become sickled. Next doorway is when you become the dead body, you've officially let your mind become a slave to your body. You've willingly turned yourself into the walking dead, the night of the living dead. You are the night of the living dead, as well as the day of the living dead. This is where the movies, the horror movies back in the 80s and 90s, and even the 2000s, uh, titled Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Living Dead, they're actually talking about you. Or if you are one who is creating a dead body, or is dragging a dead body, your own dead body. This is a result of taking your moments for granted and letting something which is no more, or letting something which may never be, consume you over and over and over again and again. This occurs from a lack of self-awareness, control, and self-discipline. You become a person in need of serious help or assistance. If this remains consistent lifetime after lifetime, you may want to listen to this one second. If this behavior and mindset remains consistent lifetime after lifetime, you're just going to keep reincarnating and carnating over and over and over again here, and will never be able to leave this planet or this plane of existence. This is something to deeply consider. If you have all the faculties now that you need to begin to excel and graduate and transcend from this reality and this plane of existence, or what you might call a planet, a world on earth, this is a school. If you have all the pencils, all the rulers, all the notebooks, your book bag, everything that you need, the protractor, markers or markers, color pencils, everything that you need, and you don't utilize it while you are in class, it's what you call life, If you are definitely going to reincarnate, but this is the catch, something to really take into deep consideration. Since you did not utilize the tools that you had, that you possessed, that you were fully equipped with, if we take it out the example of school and just put it into you have two arms, two legs, two eyes, ears, the heart, the blood, the life, the experience, the understanding, the knowledge, the wisdom, access to it at least, and you do not utilize it. And if you know about it, which is most important, if you know that you can actually do better and you don't do better, it's not really about having it. Having it is definitely a plus. You have to have your faculties. Some people are born with one arm, no legs, one eye, or just something wrong with their vision, or anything, any kind of impairment with their body and their health. If you are not born with any of these impairments in this degree, even though certain people who are born with certain disabilities and impairments also can become gifted as well and may and do access spiritual faculties of their nature. But I'm saying if you are one person or that person that knows that you can actually access your spiritual potential and you constantly abandon it, neglect it, and keep it dormant, when you reincarnate, something will be taken from you. Meaning, somebody can be born blind, deaf, no arms, only one hand and fingers, and the other hand has one finger, two fingers. The loss of different faculties in the body, deaf. To a certain kind of understanding dealing with Tibetan and Hindu mysteries and mysticism, and understanding of the spiritual mysticism, spiritual understandings, which ties back to the Kushites and the Nubians, which is actually Central African, and also now just over here as well in the Americas with the Shian. It will be taken from you when you come back because you did not take advantage of the powers that you actually had immediate access to whenever you directed your attention, whenever you could have directed your attention to it. Don't think it's a game. You think it's a game, it will happen to your ass. Absolutely. Because you did not take advantage of what you were supposed to take advantage of. And you knew better, but you did not do better. This is really isn't a game at all. There is a game to life, but you can win it, but it really isn't a game at the same time. I can go very deep into that for those who want to know more about that. Book a consultation. We'll go into that. Like I said, today's going to be a quick video. The next doorway is the last doorway? No. Next doorway is what's wise about hurting yourself over and over again? What logical sense does that make? That is equivalent to poisoning yourself over and over again, while knowing that you are poisoning yourself and then poisoning yourself again. People like that get addicted to self-infliction, meaning that they're constantly looking for the next thing to deliberately hurt themselves. But there's a crazy catch to this. There's a crazy twist to that. The weapon that they are hurting themselves with isn't like a knife or a sharp utensil that you can take away from them if they are continually or consistently hurting themselves. It's not something you can take away from them. It's a weapon that you can't even see nor take away from them. That weapon that they are continually hurting themselves with is their own mind. That's the most dangerous weapon that you can hurt yourself with. The most, by far. Because you can't see it. Nobody else can see it. You can't take it away from yourself from hurting yourself. And nobody can take that away from you from hurting yourself. You have to have that here in this reality, in this experience. So the most dangerous that The most dangerous thing that you can possess that hurts yourself in the ultimate degree. Forget third, first, and second degree. That is the ultimate hell degree, is your mind. It is a weapon that can't be seen, it can't be grabbed, and can't be touched. Keep this in mind, Kima. Keep this in mind and heart. The body and the spirit hates when the individual is doing this harm to it and itself. That's why it eventually begins to break down. The body begins to break down. For what reason? Well, begins to break down. First psychologically, then biologically. For what reason? Until the spirit is released from that continuing madness on repeat. So this is why the body begins to break down when the mind goes into a certain form of madness, anger, hatred, resent, and regret, and holding on to something of a past nature that they can't really hold on to. So it just stays a present dead vibration in a dead vibrational field of existence. And therefore their body becomes a dead vibrational field of existence. It begins to break down. For what reason? So the spirit and the soul can release itself from this imprisoning mindset, from this imprisoning dead body mindset. That's why death is the ultimate result. This is when you have no control over your anger and mind state. When you have no control over your anger and mind state, then realistically, you're really just a child in an adult-like body. Why? Because adults are supposed to have way more control and understanding, way more understanding and control, because they're no longer a child. They went through experiences to understand, I like that, I don't like that. I like that, I don't like that. I like feeling this way, I don't like feeling this way. Because when I feel this way, this happens to my health. I like thinking this way, I don't like thinking this way. Because when I think this way, this is what happens to my health. So adults are supposed to have way more understanding, way more knowledge of self, way more control because they're no longer a child. But that's not always the case. Unfortunately, it's very rare. There are many individuals dragging dead bodies, and those dead bodies is their own body. Your behavior and attitude is your only credentials that you have that shows and reveals the true progress that you've said you've made internally, or it will show the degressive states that you remain a slave to and lost within. So keep this in mind. It is your behavior and your attitude. That is the only credentials that you have on the surface that shows others, including yourself, and reveals the true progress to others, including yourself, that you've truly made internally. Not that you say you made, or you stated that you made, or you swore you made, or you promised you made, but that you've truly, really made internally with your mind. It shows in your behavior, two things, your behavior and your attitude. And like I always tell you, like I always tell anybody else, you can only be your best when you are at your worst. So when you in that anger, in that rage, in that possession, in that worst, possibly worst aspect of yourself, will you show the best qualities of yourself? Because that is the only time that you can show the best or the progressing aspect of your practice, of your internal practice. What is the result of the practice? You don't create great results by just doing the internal work and not having no external practice. No, the external practice is the showing of your true internal practice. That shows the true, clear results. It's not by being by yourself forever, doing this and doing that. That's a part of it. But you're going to be practiced, you're going to be tested. The external test or the external test shows the value and quality of your internal practice, another way of understanding. And it'll show itself through two mediums, behavior and attitude. Because in behavior, there's an action. In attitude, there's an action. And it's the action that shows the true result of what you have graduated to internally, mentally, psychologically. You can't fool reality. You can't fool one of true wisdom. You can't fool another person of true wisdom. You can't fool reality. They'll see right through you immediately. The next doorway is when being a dead body, you've become a creature of reaction rather than a being of response. You've become a creature of reaction rather than a being of response. Don't react, respond. When you're a dead body, you don't respond, you react. Response means that you have actually become responsible to carry on and possess divine responsibility. But when you can't find it in your control and your discipline to respond to something, then you are not responsible. Responsibility or being responsible is a God action or God-like quality. So those people who like to be godly and pray to God and God this and God that and so on and so forth, you're not being of God when you can't respond to something that may trigger you, or you don't react as long. Maybe you used to react and you want to get violent. Now you react and you just okay. So you went from reaction mode into response mode. You no longer put your hands on me. You keep your hands to yourself. You keep your thoughts to yourself. You neutralize this possession before it turns into an endangering action. So it's not necessarily not reacting, but actually becoming an alchemist to alchemize and turn reaction into response immediately. This is when you show true spiritual progress. This is when you are being of your godlike quality and your godlike nature. This is what shows it. Not through text, not through messages, not through Hallmark cards and sorry cards, and not through your speech per se, but through your action, through your silence, through your stillness. And when you react and you're carrying a past into tomorrow, you're carrying a past of yesterday into next week, you're carrying a past of yesterday into next month, a past of yesterday into next year, you are literally a dead body and you are dragging a dead body. You're not walking, you're dragging. So your feet may be stepping, but you're dragging. You're not walking. Your feet are stepping, but your mind, your biology, your health is deteriorating and you are dragging. A lot of people too, as you see certain qualities and traits in people too when they're dragging their dead body internally. No matter how much they may hide it, mask it, and cloak it on the outside, you can notice sometimes certain traits will show where people drag their feet a lot. You got to tell people that, listen, pick up your feet when you walk. Stop dragging your feet. That means they're dragging something mentally. There's no secret. All secrets secrete. Or my secrets in the past secreted. Your secrets in the past will secrete. Everybody's secrets secrete. Just like the organs and the glands secrete, or the glands secrete. Everything inside will find its internal will find its external expression. On its own, it'll reveal itself. You don't go seeking, you don't go looking, you don't go searching, you don't go investigating. You let it show itself to you. This is when you are in harmony with existence. You are coexisting with reality itself. Plenty of people read Genesis and Revelation. Revelation, that is the end product. That is the last chapter in that book, the Biblios, the Holy Be Able. Because the Bible is the be able. You are supposed to be able to apply what it's saying mentally, psychologically. That book is a psychological book. It deals with alchemy, not characters, places, events. Alchemy, imagination, visualization, manifestation. Revelation is the last chapter, which means it's the last product. So if you are not patient, because that's also one too that deals with response, has patience. This is why they're very still and silent and very self-reflecting. It takes a lot of time. They have patience, and patience rewards you revelation. Impatience gives you insanity. It turns you into an insane, unstable, uncontrolled individual because you did not wait respectively for divine revelation. Therefore, you become the opposite. You are opposed to your own biology and your own nature, which is asinine. You create habits of looking for things that aren't looking for you. You are not coexisting in the spiritual intelligence, meaning you are not letting life reveal life to you. You think you can cheat life and sneak around its corners to infiltrate life. But little do you know, it's been watching you the whole time. So your behavior is absolute foolishness because life will make you pay psychologically. It will. Remember, Mother Nature is unforgiving? It's an old saying. Mother Nature is not forgiving. She don't forgive shit. And then after it makes you pay psychologically, it will inevitably, definitely, absolutely make you pay biologically by affecting the biochemistries of your inner body lining. You willingly, this is the crazy part about the very unstable or unfortunate part about it, individuals like this. You willingly traumatize your own brain and your own body. And then you tax it for every ounce of energy, zapping every ounce of potential from it. What's spiritual about that? What's godly about that? Why carry death? Why carry a dead body? Why carry a dead past? Let go, let live, leave be. If you willingly look forward to hurting your mind, this is something for dead body draggers to understand. If you willingly look forward to hurting your mind, knowing that you really shouldn't, knowing what happens when you did in the past and things that came about from it and how you felt biologically, health-wise, physically, mentally, and you know that you shouldn't be doing this. But when you willingly look forward to hurting your mind, you ultimately will try to hurt your physical body. This is people who may have engaged or contemplated in suicide. It's because they hurt themselves mentally. You see how the internal expresses itself as the external eventually? If they're hurting themselves mentally, there's a great chance, it's not definitely, but there's a great, huge chance that they may try or are probably hurting themselves physically, causing cuts on their body, around their wrist, around their jugular. So I'm saying, testing the fate of death, driving, contemplating driving off the road. The internal will express itself as the external eventually. That's just the crossover effect. Like I told you, you're not a person, you're not a body, you're a bridge, you're a conduit, you're a doorway, you're an open window. You're just something in the middle. We're all just something in the middle. This is why the greatest aspect of you, the most spiritual and solar aspect of you, resides within the middle of this embodiment, which is the heart. And the thing that's supposed to be tag teaming with it in a certain way of understanding is the brain or the mind. Everything is in the middle for a reason. You are really in the middle. You're a phenomenon in the middle that can't be seen. So if you willingly look forward to hurting yourself, hurting your mind, you ultimately will try to hurt your physical body, thus transforming into another creature called self-infliction. And self-infliction tries to express itself ultimately as suicide at some point, if that person does not apply the principles of awareness and self-awareness. When self-awareness comes in, suicide is an impossibility, and self-infliction no longer becomes contemplated or in mind of that individual. Because self-awareness graduates ultimately to self-reflection. This is another thing that I teach in my classes and my courses in Ayaya. Why continue living if you refuse to be the ultimate potential of life? Why continue living if you refuse to be the ultimate potential of life itself? You're not living. You're just breathing at the moment. Not living. Living and breathing are two different things. There are two forms of living. Breathing is over here. But there's two forms of living. Living is when you are alive. That's why alive. You're alive. Alive just means alive. A live thing that is live. So there are two forms of living. The first living force is awareness. The second living force is self-awareness. Awareness graduates into self-awareness. If you lack any of these living forces, awareness and self-awareness, or if you are not applying, because you don't really lack them, if you're not applying any of these living forces, awareness and self-awareness, then you are just breathing oxygen. You are not life or living. You are just a prisoner of your own potential that never experiences the freedom of its unlimited possibilities. Keep this in mind and heart once again, Kima. You are what you vibrate. In a biological understanding of it, or a chemical understanding, it's the process of neurocytes into neurotransmitter. Neurocytes into neurotransmitter. And these are the same laws of manifestation. Manifestation is vibration. So the question is, what are you vibrating? What energy are you transmitting? What reality are you really manifesting within? Manifest wisely. Manifest wisely. Amias, as I am, most importantly though, as you are. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, I'll see you in class. I'll see you in consultation. I'll see you in sessions. I'll see you in the courses. Um, Once again, like I said, the new Cash App is $AMIASAS1. AMIASAS1. Amias as one. One.